Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all doing well wherever you are around the world. We're honored to have you with us, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. When Iranian missiles rained down on Tel Aviv and Haifa for 12 straight days, the whole world turned its eyes to the Middle East. But there was something big that went under the radar, and that's China. Western media and several independent reports pointed out a noticeable increase in Chinese cargo planes flying into the Middle East during the escalation. On top of that, Iran's defense minister Aziz Nazirzadeh visited Qingdao just moments after the ceasefire with Israel was announced. So what does all of this really mean? How much influence does China have in this region? What are China's actual interests in this Iran-Israel conflict? And why would China be in trouble if Iran falls? This video will break everything down piece by piece. Stick around till the end to really understand China's geopolitical strategy in the Middle East. We'll also be answering the big question: is China backing Iran out of pure solidarity, or is there something else behind it? China, often referred to as the bamboo curtain, is definitely making its presence felt in the Middle East, but it's not through loud rhetoric or building military bases. Instead, it's using quiet diplomacy, air logistics, and deeply rooted economic networks. Basically, China has a strategic interest in keeping Iran strong, as a counterweight to Western dominance in the region. So while others might react emotionally or blow things out of proportion, China prefers to play it cool and calculated. Why? Because they're already profiting from the tension. Oil prices are up, and Iran, under Western sanctions, is depending more and more on Chinese investment. When Israel activated the Iron Dome and Iran fired off ballistic missiles, you can bet that Beijing was doing the math too. But instead of getting loud, they stayed quiet, because that's how they get results. China's involvement in the Iran-Israel conflict is actually very active, even if it's not widely reported. In the first few weeks of the conflict, reports said that 5 Chinese military cargo planes landed in Iran. These planes had their transponders turned off, meaning they were flying dark, and disappeared from civilian radar. Those flights supposedly carried critical equipment, everything from missile navigation systems and drone parts to high-caliber ammunition. All of this was delivered smoothly and quietly, leaving almost no trace. At the same time, satellite images showed Chinese warships around the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, including a 052D destroyer, believed to be guarding the weapons logistics route to southern Iranian ports. Even though China hasn't officially confirmed its military presence in the region, it's clear this isn't just a coincidence. This is China's way of supporting Iran, not directly, but very effectively. Beijing knows how to hit its targets while staying in the shadows. They don't make noise, they just make moves. China has a big reason to keep its trade ties with Iran strong. At the same time, it absolutely cannot afford for Iran to collapse in a war with Israel and its allies. Why? Because Iran is a key player in China's Belt and Road Initiative, the massive project launched by President Xi Jinping in 2013 to connect Asia, the Middle East, and Europe through trade and infrastructure. Iran's geography is vital. It's right in the middle of crucial land and sea routes. If Iran falls into long-term political or military chaos, that whole corridor could be disrupted. And that would put hundreds of billions of dollars in Chinese investment at serious risk. China has already pumped billions into building Iran's ports, highways, and railways, including access to the Gulf of Oman. In 2021, Iran and China signed a 25-year strategic partnership covering military, economic, and energy cooperation. Under this deal, Iran promises to supply China with long-term energy at special prices. In return, China provides technology, investment, and military support. But what's most important here is China's dependence on energy. As the world's biggest oil importer, China needs stable supply lines from the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran is one of its main sources, especially since Western sanctions pushed Iran to sell oil at a discount. So, when conflict breaks out between Iran and Israel, global oil prices shoot up, and China's top priority becomes making sure the flow of oil from Iran stays steady. Defending Iran, then, isn't just a smart geopolitical move, it's a vital economic lifeline for China. Even China's state-run media has hinted at this, subtly warning that any military action that could destabilize the region needs to stop. That's diplomatic code for "don't mess with Iran. Our economy depends on it." So no, China's not just sitting on the sidelines. Beijing is fully in the game, quietly, carefully, and with long-term goals in mind. So let's take a quick look at the situation. China quickly assessed the situation and identified its shared interests with Tehran. Then it began playing a double role, acting like a global peacemaker while also working strategically behind the scenes to chip away at U.S. dominance. For both Iran and China, there's been one common adversary for the past 2 decades, the military and economic power of the United States, especially as Washington has strengthened its military alliances across the Asia-Pacific and the Middle East. China doesn't want to lose ground. In fact, it sees the rising tensions in the Middle East as a golden opportunity, a chance to distract the U.S. and pull its focus and resources away from the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait, both of which are also heating up. Now, China hasn't said this outright, of course. Beijing usually stays quiet, officially condemning any form of unilateral military aggression that threatens regional stability. But that's clearly a veiled reference to joint U.S.-Israeli operations over Iranian and Syrian airspace. On the global stage, China presents a diplomatic face, offering to mediate between Iran and Israel through multilateral channels and direct meetings. This helps polish China's image as a responsible, stable world power, in stark contrast to how the U.S. is seen, stuck in endless conflicts. But make no mistake, China's strategy isn't just symbolic. Reports say that during the most critical phase of the Iran-Israel conflict, China's South Sea Fleet ramped up combat drills, a not-so-subtle signal. It shows that Beijing is deliberately turning up the pressure on the U.S. from both ends, trying to stretch Washington's focus and resources. Observers say China doesn't want a full-scale war in the region, but it absolutely won't let Iran fall either. If Tehran collapses, the U.S. would tighten its grip on the region, potentially crushing China's economic and geopolitical influence. By maintaining a close relationship with Iran while playing the role of strategic balancer, China has skillfully used regional conflicts to challenge U.S. global dominance. In this emerging multipolar world, even small wars can turn into big steps in the struggle for power. A ceasefire between Iran and Israel was officially announced on June 25, 2025. The military standoff has cooled off, at least for now, but the strategic impact is still unfolding. For example, military cooperation between China, Iran, and even Russia is picking up. A major signal came when Iran's defense minister visited Qingdao to meet with Chinese and Russian officials at a regional security forum. After witnessing Iran's successful counterattack on Israel, which managed to break through Israeli air defenses, China is now seriously considering forming a military alliance with Iran as part of a long-term plan to push back against Western power. There's strong speculation that China may soon bolster Iran's military with systems like the HQ-22 missile defense or even satellite-based early warning tech. But this new axis doesn't stop at Iran. It includes Russia and North Korea as well. Their diplomatic backing of Iran is already a clear signal. It became even clearer when the 4 countries held a joint military summit in recent weeks. The goal? To build a non-Western integrated defense coalition. The growing alliance between Beijing, Tehran, Moscow, and Pyongyang is becoming more and more obvious. So it's no surprise that China is, quietly but actively, flying military aircraft and sending logistics support to keep Tehran from being suffocated by Western sanctions and pressure. This is all part of a reshaped multipolar world order, a global system no longer dominated by the United States alone. The balance of power in Washington is starting to shift, slowly but surely, and China is playing a huge part in that. This marks the birth of a high-stakes new world order, one where no single superpower controls everything anymore. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please support us by liking, subscribing, and dropping a comment. And stay tuned for more videos right here